He was constantly bullied and tried to tell his parents, but no one listened until it was too late. Watch this story about Chukwudi, the boy who was constantly bullied. In the city of Lagos lived a young boy named Chukwudi. He lived in a modest two-bedroom flat in Surulere with his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Okoye, and his younger sister Amara. His father was a civil servant who spent long hours at the ministry, while his mother ran a small provision shop in the neighborhood. Their lives were simple, woven into the rhythm of Lagos' relentless pace. But for Chukwudi, life was anything but simple. Chukwudi was in Bullied Academy, a secondary school known for its strict discipline and competitive academic environment. It was a school his parents had chosen with pride, believing it would pave the way for their son to become a doctor or engineer, professions that carried weight in their community. But for Chukwudi, Bullied Academy was a battlefield where he faced a daily onslaught of cruelty. It began in JS2 when Chukwudi was 12. He was a shy boy, more comfortable with books than with the games of football or the loud banter that filled the schoolyard. His quiet self made him an easy target. He started with small things, classmates yapping him about his worn-out shoes or mocking his thick keyboard assets when he read loud in English class. But over time, the tones grew sharper, more deliberate. A group of boys, led by a stocky, loud-mouthed senior named Tunde, took particular pleasure in making Chukwudi's life miserable. See this village boy, Tunde would jeer, his voice carrying across the school courtyard. You think you are better than us because you are always reading. You are just a bush boy. His friends will laugh, egging him on. While Chukwudi shrank into himself, clutching his books tighter, they tripped him in the corridors, hid his school bag, and once, during a rainy afternoon, dumped a bucket of water over his head, claiming it was baptism, to wash away his village smell. The other students laughed and looked away, and the teachers, often preoccupied with their own struggles, rarely intervened. Chukwudi tried to endure it. He told himself that if he kept his head down, studied hard, and stayed out of trouble, the bullying would stop. But it didn't. By the time he entered JS3, the harassment had escalated. Tunde and his gang began targeting him outside school hours, waiting for him at the bus stop or cornering him on the narrow street leading to his house. They would shove him and call him names, Oswald, Mumu, Ode, and demand his lunch money. If he refused, they rough him up, leaving bruises he hid under his school uniform. At home, Chukwudi kept his pain to himself. His parents were busy people, stretched thin by the demands of work and survival in Lagos. His father, Mr. Okoye, was a stern man who believed in discipline and hard work. Life is tough, Chukwudi, he'd say, his voice heavy with weight of his own struggles. You must be tougher. His mother, a kind but distracted woman, was always bustling between her shop and household chores. Her attention divided between her customers and her children. Chukwudi didn't want to burden them. He knew they had sacrificed so much to send him to Bullied Academy, taking loans to cover his school fees, and selling a plot of land in their village to ensure he had a good education. How could he tell them that their sacrifice was the source of his misery? But the weight of the bullying grew heavier. One evening, after Tunde and his friends had cornered him behind the school science lab and slapped him until his ear rang, Chukwudi could no longer hold it. He came on, his uniform disheveled and his eyes red from unshed tears. His mother was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. Mama, he said, his voice trembling, I don't want to go to that school again. Mrs. Okoye turned, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Chukwudi, what is this now? Why are you talking like this? He hesitated, the word catching in his throat. Some boys, they're always troubling me. They beat me, Mama. They call me names. I can't stay there. His mother frowned. Is it not just boys being boys? You know how children are. You have to be strong, Chukwudi. Don't let them see you are weak. But mama, it's not that. They don't stop. Every day is something I can't focus. I can't. His voice cracked and he looked away, ashamed of the tears threatening to spill. Mrs. Okoye sighed, her face softening but not fully yielding. My son, life is not easy. You think I don't face my own troubles at the shop? People will always test you. You just have to stand up to them. Besides, Bullied Academy is a good school. We are paying so much for it to be there. You can't just leave because of small fights. It's not small, Mama, Chukwudi whispered, but his mother had already turned back to her stove, her mind shifting to the soup that was beginning to bubble over. That night, he lay awake in the room he shared with Amara, listening to the hum of the generator outside. He felt a wallow ache in his chest, a sense of being unseen, unheard. He thought about telling his father, but the idea made his stomach twist. Mr. Okoye was not a man who tolerated complaints. A man solved his own problem, he often said. Chukwudi feared his father would see his plea as weakness, a failure to give up to the expectation placed on him as the first son. The next day he tried again. It was a Sunday, and his father was home, reading a newspaper in the sitting room. Chukwudi gathered his courage and approached. Papa, I need to talk to you. Mr. Okoye lowered the papers. What is it, Chukwudi? It's about school. Some boys, they are troubling me. They beat me, take my things. I don't want to go back there. Can I change school? His father's face hardened. Change school? Do you know how much you are paying for it to be at Bullied Academy? Do you think money grows on trees? You want to throw away everything we have worked for because of some small boys? It's not small, Papa, they don't stop. I can't even... Enough! Mr. Okoye's voice was sharp, cutting through Chukwudi's words. You are a boy, not a baby. You think I didn't face my own problems when I was your age? You stand up to them. Fight back if you have to. But you are not leaving that school, you hear me? Chukwudi nodded, his throat tight. He retreated to his room, the weight of his father's words pressing down on him. He felt trapped, caught between the cruelty at school and the expectations at home. He began to withdraw, speaking less, eating less. His grades, once among the best in class, started to slip. His teacher noticed but attributed it to laziness or teenage rebellion. No one asked if something was wrong. The bullying intensified as the school term progressed. Tunde and his gang seemed to sense Chukwudi's growing fragility, and they pounced on it like vultures. One afternoon, they locked him in a storage room behind the school's assembly hall, laughing as he banged on the door pleading to be let out. He spent hours there, curled up in the dark, the musty smell of old book and damp walls suffocating him. When a janitor finally found him, he was trembling, his face streaked with tears. That night, Chukwudi made a decision. He couldn't go on like this. He wrote a letter pouring out everything. His fear, his pain, the name of the boys who tormented him, the way their words and fists chipped away at him. He wrote about how he felt invincible, how he didn't know how to keep going. He folded the letter and tucked it in his school bag, intending to give it to his class teacher the next day. Maybe he thought someone would listen. But the next morning as he walked to school, Tunde and his gang were waiting. They had heard about the storage room incident and were furious that Chukwudi had been found. You think you can escape us? Tunde sneered, shoving Chukwudi at the wall. The other boys joined him, their fists and feet a blur of violence. Chukwudi tried to protect himself, but the blows kept coming. When they finally stopped, he was bruised and bleeding, his school bag torn open, his books scattered on the ground. The letter was gone, tramped into the dirt. Chukwudi didn't go to school that day. He limped home, his body aching, his spirit broken. He didn't tell his parents what had happened. It couldn't be another dismissal, another lecture about being strong. Instead, he locked himself in his room, refusing to eat dinner or answer Amara's question about why he looked so sad. Over the next few weeks, Chukwudi became a shadow of himself. He stopped talking to his classmates, stopped participating in class. His parents noticed his silence, but they attributed it to teenage moodiness. "He will grow out of it," Mrs. Okoye said to her husband one evening. "Boys his age are like that." Mr. Okoye nodded, his attention already back on his newspaper. But Chukwudi wasn't growing out of it. The bullying had seeped into his soul, eroding his sense of self. He began to believe the things Tunde and his gang said about him, that he was worthless, a nobody, a boy who didn't belong. He stopped seeing a future where things could be better. The world felt like a cage, and he couldn't find the key. One evening, as the sun seeped down the horizon, Chukwudi sat on his bed staring at the wall. Amara was asleep in a corner of the room. He thought about her, about how she looked up to him, how she cried if she knew how much he was hurting. He thought about his parents, about the sacrifices they made, the dreams they had for him. He felt like he was failing them, failing himself. He didn't leave a note this time. He didn't have words left to explain. He took a bottle of insecticide from the kitchen, one his mother used to keep pests away from their shop. He locked himself in the bedroom, the cold tide pressing against his bare feet. The liquid burned as he went down, and he sank on the floor. When Mrs. Okoye found him hours later, she screamed, a sound that tore through the quiet of the night. Neighbors rushed him, and someone called the ambulance, but it was too late. Chukwudi was gone. The days that followed were a blur of grief and guilt. Mrs. Okoye couldn't stop crying. Her waist feeling the flat as she clutched Chukwudi's school uniform, still stained with dents for the last day. Mr. Okoye sat in silence, his face carved in regret, unable to meet his wife's eyes. Amara, too young to fully understand, kept asking where her brother would come back. The community mourned, but whispers soon turned to blame. Why didn't his parents listen? Why didn't the school do something? Tunde and his gang were suspended, but it was a hollow punishment. Too little, too late. The letter Chukwudi had written was found weeks later, crumbled and forgotten in the schoolyard. His class teacher read it and wept, realizing she had missed the signs, the silent cries for help. Bling Academy introduced an anti-bullying program, but it felt like a gesture, a way to quiet the outrage, rather than address the root of the problem. Chukwudi's parents sold their shop and moved back to their village, unable to bear the memories that haunted their home in Surulere. Amara grew up with a hole in her heart, her brother's absence a constant shadow. Chukwudi's story became a cautionary tale in the neighborhood, a reminder of the cost of silence, of the weight of words left unsaid. His parents carried their guilt like a stone, wishing they had listened, wishing they had seen, but wishes couldn't bring him back. In the end, Chukwudi's life was a flicker, bright and fleeting, extinguished before it could fully shine. And in the moments when the noise of Lagos faded, those who knew him could still hear the echo of his unspoken pain, a reminder to listen before it's too late. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you for watching.